Hi there, welcome to the Westbrook Stevens page for project managers. If you are a new project manager, or if you're an old project manager, or if you're a project manager wannabe, or if you are studying for your PMP, hopefully you will find the material here that will help you be a better project manager. Now, this is going to be organized, and this is the first podcast for this series, so this is more of an introduction podcast. The purpose for this podcast and the purpose for this website is to help project managers. Now, this podcast was specifically started to help a study group study for the PMP. Now, the way it's set up is I have a camera above my computer screen, and on my computer screen I have the website that goes along with what we're talking about. If you want to find the website, you would go to westbrookstevens.com/project _management and the numeral 1.htm. Again, that's westbrookstevens.com / the word project the word management, the numeral 1.htm. Okay, now who am I? My name is Craig Stevens, and you can find a link to my resume on this website. So if you click on the link, it would be located at craigastevens.com. But here's a little background. I had the title of program manager since about 1986, and been doing program management and project management and business analysis and systems engineering and industrial engineering and business process improvement, those type of jobs ever since then. So that's since about 1986. Before that I did projects, but it was on a smaller basis, and I was actually still in college before that. Worked for 100 different organizations as a consultant, and the longest place I ever worked any place was 13 years, but that was as a consultant for a company called Science Applications International Corporation. About half of my experience is government, federal government usually, and about half of it's commercial. And if you divided that up in the whole, about half of my experience overall is manufacturing related, and the other half was commercial environment related, less manufacturing, more services. So I've worked in about 25 different states and have 20 years worth of graduate school. Sounds like a lot, but I've been either working continuously on just taking classes that stay up to date, not really necessarily as the end goal of finishing my PhD, but at the same time I've worked several years on that, and I have have all the coursework and most of the materials out of the way. I'm just finishing it off through the University of Tennessee Space Institute. Also, since 1998, have been teaching classes. About 10 years I've been teaching classes on the college level for Vanderbilt University, a little bit for Belmont, University of Phoenix, and Trevecca, and those are part-time jobs. Those are just as adjunct. But I teach project management courses, actually prepared and created and developed the project management graduate courses at Vanderbilt through the Management Technology program at one time. Let's see, worked with AMA, American Management Association, taught everything, all the project management classes they had at the time I was teaching, and also taught at Paget Thompson. So that's a little bit about my background. What we're going to be doing here is I'm going to explain to you a lot about project management, and we're going to look at it in 3 different ways. First, we're going to look at the logic behind it, and that's the so what. So why are we even interested in this subject? The second thing we're going to do is we're going to look at practice, how to put that in place, and maybe how I've noticed observations on how different organizations have put those practices in place. And then the last thing we're going to point to is the project management professional certification, and what PMI would like for you to know about project management. So it may be a little different from the practice, maybe a lot different, a little bit different from your experiences, and maybe a little bit different from your education. It may be a little bit different from what's logical for your organization, but it is a standard, and it's what you need to know to pass the PMP, and it's usually a pretty good standard. Now, when I first took my PMP, a lot of people asked me why I wasn't certified. I had all this experience, why didn't I get the project management certification? And my little sarcastic, arrogant response was, if you go to a doctor, do you want a doctor who has the MBA to operate on you, or would you like a doctor with a Red Cross certification? So my view was the PMP is the equivalent of the Red Cross certification. It can be tough, and a lot of stuff you need to know, and it's pretty important, but it's not necessarily the PhD or the college level or the experience level that you need in order to be an excellent project manager. Now, after I took the certification and after I got certified and after I went through the whole process, my whole philosophy changed, because in doing that and understanding the standard, the PMBOK that goes along with becoming a project management professional, getting your PMP certification, what you do is you actually understand the accepted language and you compare it to the language you've always used and other people have used. Sometimes there's a difference there. And so by knowing that difference, you're able to improve what you do. And so I was able to question some of my belief systems and question some of the applications I used, and actually look at the project management body of knowledge and compare it to what I knew. A lot of times I've improved on those points in the project management body of knowledge, and you can improve on anything, and a lot of times I improve my processes by knowing the project management body of knowledge. So I challenge you, even if you felt the same way I did, that you've been a project manager for 20 years, more than 20 years, 22 years in my case, you're a program manager, you had a whole bunch of projects under you, you actually set up project management offices and project management organizations and set standards, you can still learn something by going to the PMBOK. And matter of fact, if you can keep your ego under control, you'll learn a lot. And one of the big benefits of this is that by joining the Project Management Institute, you actually have a group of people who have similar backgrounds, maybe a little different backgrounds, and can challenge your thought processes and make you a better project manager. Same thing goes with business analysis, and business analysts can do the same thing. And we do have a whole section on BA. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope it helps kick off your study groups to study for your PMP. But if you're just in it to improve a little bit or to look up things, I hope this website becomes a resource that you will use and point everybody in your organization to it. We have a lot of free materials, and we're going to try to keep it free. The way we pay for it is as Westbrook Stevens. This is kind of advertising for Westbrook Stevens. So if you find a need for us, bring us in, because this is the way we pay for these free services. And I really appreciate your time. I hope you really enjoyed this podcast and these podcasts to come related to project management. My name is Craig Stevens. To email me, you go to Craig. You would email Craig A. Stevens at westbrookstevens.com. To see the website, you would go to westbrookstevens.com. To see this page that we're starting on, you go to westbrookstevens.com/project_management, the number 1.htm. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in later podcasts.